If you missed last week's video, we started giving our closet a dream makeover on a budget.
Which included cleaning out all of our stuff, taking out the old shelving systems, then using a mix of IKEA dressers and of course Andrea's custom designs to build out the new framework for this closet system.
This week is all about finishing out this space and making it look beautiful. We will be painting, installing hardware, adding a fun wallpaper, and a few accessories.
So you'll definitely want to watch till the end because I can't believe how beautiful this closet turned out.
Before we get started, we want to say thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. One of our goals for this year is better mental health, and therapy can be a great way to work through things that might be preventing you from achieving your goals. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You can start communicating within 48 hours. It's not a crisis line, it's not self-help, it's professional therapy done securely online. There's a broad range of expertise in BetterHelp's 20,000 plus therapist network that may not be locally available. The service is available for clients worldwide. You can log into your account anytime and send a message to your therapist. You'll get timely, thoughtful responses, plus you can schedule weekly phone or video sessions from the comfort of your own home. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so they make it easy and free to change therapists if needed. It's more affordable than traditional offline therapy, and financial aid is available. BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. Visit betterhelp.com/DIYwife, that's betterhelp.com/DIYwife, and join the over 2 million people taking charge of their mental health with an experienced professional today. BetterHelp is offering our viewers a special 10% discount off of their first month when you go to betterhelp.com/DIYwife or by clicking on the link in the description. And now back to today's video. The first step in getting ready for paint was to sand down all of the nail holes that I had filled in. While I was doing that, I realized I was going to need to do something about the heavy texture on the walls before we could install the wallpaper. We got a little creative and decided to duct tape our shop vac to our electric sander so we didn't have such a crazy amount of dust everywhere. This actually worked even better than I had hoped, and we ended up with very little dust on anything. Once I finished all of the sanding, I went ahead and vacuumed all of the surfaces to remove any little bits of dust that were left. Okay, so last step before I get ready to paint is I'm going to caulk all of these corners, and I wanted to show you this stuff. You can pick up, I think Lowe's and Home Depot should have it. It is a caulk foam, polyfoam caulk saver. Okay, if you have a really large gap, this is so helpful so you're not wasting huge amounts of caulk, and you just push it in there before you do that corner. Caulking all of the edges and corners like this may not seem that important, but it really does go a long way in making it look more finished and professional in the end. So I'm going to go ahead and tape everything up. Well, I say everything. The only thing I'm not painting is the ceiling and the floor. So I'm going to mask off the ceiling and the floor and get ready to paint. And really quick, I am going to prime these. Since I used MDF for the new drawer fronts, I'm going to prime them with the shellac primer because you do not want to use a water-based primer or paint over MDF because it can make it swell a little bit, and then my drawers may not be shedding. So I'm going to do that just with a roller so I don't have to put the shellac primer in the gun. And then everything else I'll spray. To use a construction paper like this on the floor versus a plastic because it's not as slippery, and it's also easy to tell if you accidentally tear a spot, whereas with plastic it's sometimes easy to miss those little holes. Like I said, I primed these drawers with a shellac-based primer because I use 3/4 inch MDF, and you do not want to use a water-based primer or paint on them as it can cause swelling and then the drawers may not close properly. Finished rolling on the shellac primer, I brought in my airless paint sprayer with the primer. I decided to use Behr's acrylic Alkyd Enamel primer that goes with the paint I'm using, and I was really happy with the leveling and smoothing that this provided before painting.
Is that your hairnet?
I don't want paint in my hair. It's not fun to get out. Whenever I'm going to be painting with a really dark color paint, I like to have them tint the primer as dark as they can just to give a closer match to the final color.
I'm about to tape her in. This is not the first time we have done this. Not our first rodeo. Yeah. I got two. Which one do you want? Yeah.
Alright, so we've got the primer on. We let it dry overnight just because it was taking a while to dry. And a quick tip when you're spraying is I always wait a while and come back periodically and check it with a paintbrush, because inevitably, especially with an airless sprayer and getting in all these like tight spaces, you're going to have at least some drips. And you always want to catch it while it's still wet rather than having to come back and sand it after it's dry. So now it's time to get our actual paint on here, and we'll need at least 2 coats, but first I need to take my paint sprayer outside. I'm going to clean the primer out and get the line all prepped with the actual paint we're using. Alright, for this project I'm trying out a new paint, and well, it's a new brand. I haven't used Behr's Alkyd Enamel. It's a newer paint that they have. I've used Sherwin and Benjamin Moore's version of their Alkyd Enamel. Basically, it's a water-based paint that's supposed to dry with similar properties as an oil-based paint, so it's great for cabinetry when you need a good DIY friendly option that is not like a lacquer finish and things that are just, you know, the everyday homeowner can't do themselves. So we're gonna try this one out, and if it ends up being a good paint, we'll be using this same one on our friends' kitchen cabinets in a few weeks.
When the hood goes on, you know it's getting serious.
I've gotten paint in my hair too many times. Okay, so the first coat is dry. I'm going to go ahead and do the second coat, and then we'll see if we need a third coat or not, or if I can get it solid enough for the second coat. Coat is finished and dry, and that ended up giving great coverage, so that is plenty. And this is one of my favorite parts, is pulling off all the masking, because then you start really seeing the finished product. And there will be some touch-up areas. I already know where the tape came off, but it's looking so good. This is fun. Pretty. I feel like it's going to be even fancier in person. Does it look a lot like my mood board? Alright, so we let the paint cure over the weekend just so it's not quite so tacky. And just an FYI, most paints are going to take like a full 30 days to cure, and so you want to be careful if you're using it before then. But today we're going to do the wallpaper, and I'm really excited to see that go up, and also a little bit nervous because I've never applied pasted wallpaper before, and I've only done peel and stick wallpaper one time, so this should be interesting. I started out by cutting my first strip of wallpaper slightly longer so that I would have excess at the top and the bottom that I would cut away after installing. You can use a roller or a large paintbrush to apply the wallpaper adhesive, and I used this large, I think 4-inch brush that I had on hand, and I really liked the way that worked. I used a smoothing tool to make sure I got all of the bubbles out, and then a straight edge with a really sharp knife to trim off the excess. I was honestly really surprised at how easy installing this wallpaper was. My guess is that the ease of installation had a lot to do with the quality of the wallpaper. This one was really thick and almost had this fabric-like feel to it, and I think that really helped it hold its shape and line up easily. This is so much easier than that peel and stick wallpaper. How about that seam?
That seems flawless.
And of course, I'll be linking this exact wallpaper along with any other products we're using in the description of this video. How does that look? Oh my gosh! That looks so good, doesn't it? It looks a lot like my mood board. It looks just like my mood board, but better. Crazy. Is this color not like the perfect color? It's looking really good. Okay, so this is the opposite side of the closet, and I wasn't originally planning on wallpapering it, but then I realized with a mirror on the wall right behind you, you'll see this wall, and so I also realized that's not very much wall space, so we're like hoping that we have just enough extra to be able to wallpaper it, but I didn't plan for that, so it's gonna be really close. We literally had just barely enough to cover this wall, and I'm so glad we did because it looks so good on both walls. Next, I started getting ready to install the hardware. This actually ended up taking quite a while because I decided to do 2 knobs on every drawer, and there are 20 drawers, meaning I had to measure, drill, and then install 40 knobs. These are the same knobs that we used on our bedroom furniture, and I went with these because they are on the smaller side, and since there would be so many of them, I wanted something that wouldn't feel just totally overwhelming. After I finished installing all of the hardware, I used a foam roller to paint all of the edges of my drawers. Normally, I would take all of the drawers out, wrap them, and spray them with the tops facing up towards the ceiling, but there was not room in this closet, and it was way too cold to spray them outside. Next, it was time to measure and install all of the clothes hanging rods. I went with these black metal rods that we picked up at Lowe's, and I used a hacksaw to cut them down to size. Look at that! It looks nice, it doesn't stick way out. I'm shouting. Finally, it was time to add all of the finishing touches to this dream closet. after tons of planning and a lot of hard work, our dream closet was finally finished.
Well, once again, you have outdone yourself. I'm like, how does this closet even look this nice? It's like a designer closet. It's beautiful. And to think of where this started on a piece of paper in your brain, you started clearing out that closet, building custom shelving for it, and then of course just making it look incredible. Way to go, baby!
Yeah, I really feel like it just turned out better than what was in my head, and at this part of a project when I'm finished and I'm finally seeing what's been in my head for so long actually become reality in front of me, Dean laughs at me because I like to just go sit and stare, and I probably do that every night. I just kind of meander on in there and admire the beauty for a bit.
So now let's talk about the numbers on this whole project, from cost to hours to all of that.
So for our closet, the total cost of everything, which is the wood, the dressers, the new drawer front, all the trim, the baseboards, crown molding, paint, wallpaper, everything except for the little decor items, was right around $1,600.
That is not bad at all. For the closet that we got, that is actually pretty amazing.
Yeah. Now, if I had gone with the IKEA pack system like I had originally planned and done the same number of drawers and similar number of shelves, my total cost would be $1,700, but that's before tax and shipping. And I planned on trimming all of that out and painting it to look a lot like what we just did, which would have brought our total up to closer to $2,400.
Yo.
Which is a savings of almost $800.
Yo.
Ow, my hand's gonna hurt by the end of this.
Okay, so now let's talk about hours. How long did this project take you?
Since I only work 2.5 work days each week, we had to spread it out over 2 weeks, but really it was about a full work week worth of work. You can use that, right? Do your editing magic.
Some things can't be edited out. I'm sorry, babe.
You can't fix that.
Okay, so now I want to talk about the difficulty level of this project, because some people might think, oh, I'm going to jump into something like this. So was this easy? Is it beginner? Or is this crazy advanced pro, or somewhere in between?
So if you're new to woodworking, you're not super familiar with power tools, no, I wouldn't recommend starting on a massive closet build because you'll hate yourself. But if you're comfortable around at least basic tools, like if you can use a miter saw, a drill, a Kreg jig, those kinds of things, then you can totally do this. Like most of it is pretty straightforward. I had them rip down all the major long cuts at Home Depot, so I didn't even have to use a table saw at home.
So we're gonna finish out this video by sharing a very exciting preview, and that is next week we're actually starting into the biggest series that we've ever put on YouTube, as we are gonna take our friend's home and give it a total transformation on a tight budget. And so you're gonna see the entire process from start to finish, and we are so excited. Definitely stay tuned, because the next several weeks are going to be, they're gonna be awesome, and we'll catch you then there next week in the next video. Just go to the next video, we'll catch you there. Thank you, bye. Stick to the notes.
Can't read your handwriting at all.
Yeah, it's kind of like second grade handwriting, maybe. About. When you're in love, you can pick each other's noses.
I was about to use the camera to look for my boogers. I probably shouldn't do that. Is it still there?
Who is that? Okay, so doorbell just rang while we were filming. Had to admit, we were a little frustrated until we realized Girl Scout cookies!
What is your favorite?
Probably these.
Oh, these were meant to be!
So we got 3 boxes. Comment below what you think we got right now. 3 seconds. Okay, so we got 1 box of Thin Mints.
I feel like you have to get Thin Mints, don't you? Like, stick in the freezer?
And then we got 2 boxes of the Caramel Delights. It's gonna be 1 box for me, 1 box for her, Thin Mints for the kids. Yes! Yo!
Wait, should we open both boxes? I'll open my box.
Come on.
This is my box.
Here's a cheers to all of you viewers out there who are still watching.